Thanks for tuning in to the Matt and Seth Show, hosted by Seth Fisher, editor of mgoldblog.com, and Matt Demorest, Realtor and Lender. Presented by Realtor and Lender.com. Buy, sell, mortgage. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and go blue.
I can hear it now. Band takes the field, and out of that eastern tunnel pour 215 well-drilled, well-disciplined Michigan bandsmen. They pour over the eastern sideline, they pour in the big block in, and they play the greatest college fight song ever written.
Seth, how's it going, buddy?
Eat 'em up.
Eat 'em up, Tigers. Yes.
Yeah.
So, on to the Guardians. We'll see how that one goes. But we're not here to talk baseball. But I had to wear the hat at least.
I got my Cabby jersey up there, but I just wanted to point out that that Michigan teams are 3-0 in playoff games in Houston this year.
I like that. That's an interesting stat. So fresh off a underwhelming, sort of uninspiring, kind of fear-provoking retention of the Little Brown Jug. How are you feeling?
I mean, the defense was fine. Brian's got to do the offense.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, the defense is okay. You know, they had a couple drives that and you can read the UFR on the site now, but you know, they had a couple of clock drives, and one of them never should have gotten. You know, one of them was just a Hail Mary that really wasn't even caught, and the other one was over. The one major drive they had, the long drive they had that wasn't a 2-minute drill and killing time. They had a 4th and 11, and they got a penalty and bailed them out. So, you know, there's some things to clean up, and you know, I figured you'd want to talk about, you know, what's going wrong, but it wasn't really one thing.
Yeah,
so I thought,
that's a good idea, man. And while you're pulling that up, realtorandlender.com, looking to buy, sell, and mortgage a house in Michigan, hit me up. Let's see what went wrong and maybe what can go right this weekend versus the Huskies.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to really get into everything because, like I said, UFR was needed. Like, it was one thing and then there was another thing, right? Like, sometimes it's to me or Hall or whatever. But I did want to kind of talk about, because this is, you know, the article. This is the feature where we try to give you something that you can see on the field and point to me like, oh, I know what that is. So this is Michigan's 5-1 set. And this came up in the press conference. PJ Fleck talked about how Wink likes to use this a lot because it gets him in a lot of different sets. Now, we use this a lot in 2021. We used it in 2022. We used it in 2023. This has been part of Michigan's repertoire since they went Ravens. And Wink Martindale likes it a lot. And I want to just show you why, show you what's going on, how it kind of works, why Michigan runs it, why it fits this whole Ravens concept of what we're doing. And then some of the weak points that defenses have been attacking. Because when, you know, where things have been happening, a lot have been on third downs or passing down situations. And, like, you know, I kind of wanted to get into what Michigan's plan is, like their base plan. What are they really doing? And then what are they changing up? So their main thing is this 5-1. Now, sometimes, most of the time, the nose will be right on top of the center, but they can shift it around. They use a linebacker as one of the guys. Now, in this case, the linebacker is just coming. It's really just a kind of a 4-man front with the linebacker showing blitz. But what you do when you create this front is you're going to spread these defensive ends out further, and that gives you a nice big path. So you can run your base out of this, and this is really. You can see how close this is to Michigan's base defense, because here they roll down the safety, and then they drop the linebacker. He drops over here, and they're in their regular cover 3. I mean, they're rushing 4, cover 3, and then, you know, the cover 3 cornerback comes down just like normal, and then the safety rips the ball out and runs away with it, just like, you know.
Just like normal.
Just like normal. Just good old-fashioned Michigan defense, right? But, like, what they really like about this is that it puts these defensive ends on a great angle to attack the quarterback. It's very hard to defend. You can see, and we're going to see in a lot of these clips, this right tackle, Quinn Carroll, was setting back. I mean, this is an illegal formation. It gets worse. But he's like he was setting back, trying to give himself all this room to try to take away this angle to the quarterback. And that's what's really great about this this defense is you spread out these defensive ends without putting a big hole in the middle of your line. Now you're giving up a linebacker for it, but what you're doing is getting those ends outside and improving their ability to pass rush. So on this one, you got Arianti
and you see this a lot in the NFL, Seth, because you got guys out there, linemen that can recognize it. You have quarterbacks that can read it. They can pick up on the tells of where something's coming from. In college, it's worked really well for Michigan because you're just going to have flat out breakdowns with some of the blocking schemes if they don't know where the pressure is coming from. So that,
yeah, it's not like, as far as the edges are concerned, they know where the pressure's coming from, and this happens in the NFL too. You're right. They do a lot of wide nines in the NFL, and the reason is because if you have an athlete out there who is really good at pass rushing, and you give him just a little bit more help, right? You give him a little bit more advantage. It's very unlikely that they're going to be able to stop him. So here you have Arianti Ursary, who's going to be a left tackle in the NFL soon, right? I'm surprised he even came back. One of the best pass protectors in the league. He's going against TJ Guy, who's our backup defensive end. And watch what happens. He gets set wrong, and he just gets... Look at that. That's an NFL tackle, but he's... Yeah, but look how he has to get so wide, and he gets blown up because he has to get so wide because he's trying to cut off this angle, right? And even on the backside, this is just Cam Brandt. He's not that much either, but he's getting to the quarterback as well. So that setup, it's really good for pass rushing from those edges. And because that's such a threat, it affects how the defense plays, and they try to do things to try to make you not bring pressure off the edges. So if you're trying to stop a team from bringing pressure off the edges like that, what will you do?
I would go wide, for sure.
Right. Yeah. Because you want to get these right. If this guy's coming, they're losing a player out here. So that's what Minnesota tries to do. They're getting this look, and they say, okay, 3rd and 6, let's attack outside. Well, guess what? You don't always have to bring the edges. They're already outside. They can just go into pass protection. So here they attack, just like you say, right? They bring the running back out there. They think they're going to have numbers, and there's that defensive end. Well, it's really the linebacker. It's Hausman, and it's a loss that on 3rd and 6. So where they cut, they still bring 4, right? And this is what Week was talking about in that presser that everyone thought he was talking about me and was really talking about Joel Klatt. But he's bringing 4, right? He's bringing the middle linebacker and 3 defensive linemen. He's dropping this defensive end, and then this was the linebacker out there. So they can get it in a lot of different pressures. And remember what the idea of Michigan's defense is, right? They want to bring guys from different places, confuse the protection, and confuse the look. They want the quarterback to, wherever he looks first, for that to be covered. So you're giving him, it's a tougher read, right? This guy could be, it looks like he's covering him. It looks like, it looks like man coverage and they're blitzing 5. It looks like they're going to Don Brown you, right, with one guy in the middle. But as soon as the play starts, there's the quarterback. He's looking. He's got a guy protecting the dude he wants to throw to here. He's got coverage inside as well. And these guys drop from over here, and then the pressure's coming from over this direction. So it's a very now goes to throw it. And now he's actually got this guy dropping right into the middle, and you get good coverage out here. Not a whole lot of space to throw it, but he's got to get rid of it because, look, he wasted all this time watching over here. So that's what Michigan loves to do. They love to confuse. That's what this whole system is about. The idea is confuse the look. And
I think that one of the things it seems like we struggle with, just from the eyeball test, is a quarterback who can get to his second read quick and make those quick throws. There hasn't been a whole lot of deep action. I know USC has some big guys that we got one free deep, but it's mostly been quarterbacks who can be accurate on that second read, and we'll see how that goes this weekend.
Yeah, for certain. And one of the issues that's been going on in Michigan was doing this before too. The idea is they like to vary their coverages, right? Confuse your read. Well, some of the things we're doing are a little bit tough. So you got Barham out here. You got Page out here. You got Barham over here. He's got to get over. Now, the plan is buzz this read, right? So he's looking out here. He's looking where is he going to have leverage, all right? And he's watching this guy the whole time. From the very snap, he's looking there. He sees the pressure coming from here. He's thinking, okay, I want to throw where the pressure came from. And what they do, they bring a guy over where the pressure came from. Now, Barham needs to chip this guy. He's got to hit this guy hard because the dude who's going to be actually covering him is way over here. And where did he start? That's Jimmy Rolder. He's starting all the way over here. You see that?
Yeah.
So he's starting all the way here on the field side, and he's got to get all the way over here to defend this pass.
So
and
his quarterback's responsibility on this, Seth, is to get over there within 5 yards so he can make some contact, not pass interference. And
it's called
just
it's not pass interference in the first 5 yards.
Yeah,
right?
that's
so
what
you're allowed to
within 5 yards. Yep.
Yeah, so what he's got to do, he doesn't even get a hand on him. He's got to come and chuck this guy. So this is one of the issues that we've had is that we don't have, and they're college players, and there's a lot on their plate, and Barham just came from Maryland, which had a fairly simple defensive system, and now he's got this complicated stuff, but he's got to get a chuck on this guy because you're asking your other linebacker to get all the way out here and cover this deep hole. Now, Brosmer does a good job because, you see somebody on top of that. You see somebody buzzing. You're like, that's not going to get open. He does a good job recognizing where the coverage is, standing in the pocket, and throwing his guy open. So, I mean, there wasn't a huge window, but that's the kind of throw that beats this. And that's why the Ravens, you would see, like, they would do fantastic against young quarterbacks, and then they get, like, a veteran, and Drew Brees would just, like, slice them up. Here's another thing that Wink loves to do with this, because remember they're trying to bring from the edges, right? These edges are where they're afraid of. So these guys are going to be setting up outside. They're worried about an attack from outside. The running back is looking outside, and they love to bring this looper inside. They ran this blitz a whole bunch of, well, not really a blitz. This pressure where you just bring this looper, and that's TJ guy coming up, and that puts a timer on the throw. So then you see that looper. He's got to make his throw. Not everybody's even into their routes yet, so he's got to do a dump off. And look, Michigan's got all these guys. This is on 3rd and 11, and they've got all these guys here, stopping it at 6 yards. So it's fairly safe defense, even though it looks like a lot of pressure. Now, if you do bring pressure, you got to get there because he's going to be looking at those reads, right? He's making his pre-snap reads. He's looking at this guy the whole time, and they've got all this space in single coverage, and poor Zeke Berry gets burned here. So,
yeah, and on the play we were looking at with Rolder, I mean, you're asking a guy to cover basically 30 yards across the field. Is there some of that maybe we just can't do, or do you think it's just getting used to it and guys in new spots?
Well, it's getting practice, right? But they're asking guys to do hard things, and they're things within their realm of possibility. So this is another good example. Again, you see this tackle, right? They are so worried about these edges that the tackle is just setting up. How many yards is deep in the backfield? Like, this is an illegal formation.
Yeah.
They should have been calling this all. He's even with the slot receiver. Like, that's just absolutely ridiculous at this point.
playing fullback at that point.
Right. And given the calls they made against Michigan on 4th and 6 this year, you would hope that they would do a good job of regulating this kind of thing. But that's a reaction to how Michigan lines up. Now, this is a 4th and 6. I think this was a trap. This is kind of a weird play, and this is where I wanted to end it, because we're talking about asking the guys to do more than they can do. We're right on the edge of that. And the question, Wink is used to the NFL guys, and he says, okay, I need you to go buzz this dude, and he goes and buzzes him. You don't have to, remind him, okay, that means you have to chuck it too, right? You have to make sure you reroute him. So this play, this is another one of those traps. I just showed you that trap, right, where they bring the looper around. They know he's on a timer. They know where he's going to want to go. They leave him that underneath throw, and then they have everybody on top of it. And it's a trap on 3rd down. This is 4th down. It's another trap. They're showing him, this, right? Now you got man coverage. If this guy comes, you're figuring this is the only guy who can cover him. Quarterback is going to see that. It's one of his favorite receivers out here. He's going to look. He sees bail coverage, right? Michigan's getting into a deep cover 3. Now they're trying to burn clock, right? They're up by 10. They're trying to burn clock. So if they don't knock this out, if they don't get the ball back, it's okay, right? The idea is the clock's going to still be running.
It seemed okay at the time.
I mean, it's annoying to us, but in NFL thinking, they don't get a first, they don't even stop the clock in the NFL. So, I mean, the things that Wink is used to. The only problem is where'd that linebacker go? Well, he's stuck behind this ump. So the other thing is the college officials are not as good as the NFL ones, just getting out of the way, right? Like an NFL ump, it's a hard job. Umpiring is hard. You have to have an idea of what the teams are running, just like teams do, because you don't want to get in the way. he actually just look. He's just in the way of where Barham needs to get to. And this whole trap, the idea is you give him this look, right? They just showed you. There's Daniel Jackson. There's their favorite receiver. All right. He's got his eyes on his favorite receiver. You got bail coverage from the safety. So there's going to be all this space in here to throw. Eyes light up, right? I get to throw this before. They're going to give me a 4th and 6 before the pressure even gets there. Even a chance to get there. And the idea, I think, was to have Barham hustle his way over here and break it up. But the umpire gets in his way a little bit. He's just a couple steps slow. And
yeah, it seems like if he doesn't get sort of picked right there, and I don't know what the spread was. I don't remember, but that looks like
I'm not going there. I'm not going there because it's not. He's obviously not doing it on purpose. He just bumps him a little bit. But it's just an umpire who's got to realize what the play is. And you know he's just trying to get out of the way, man. But it's a college umpire. You're not expecting that, right? They probably didn't practice the umpire being right there. And again, like these are kind of things I'm not mad about it. I'm not saying like, oh, Wink sucks because he's using his college players wrong. This is an interesting idea. You've got a future pro in Barham. He can really move. He's big. He's got that wingspan. And it's an idea because you do get the trap. They fall right into it, right? You want them. I think what they're doing is they're trying to get a throw there because he's moving way out here very quickly, and that could be a pick 6 if it's a little slower. So,
yeah, that's a little reminiscent of the Will Johnson interceptions where you kind of bait him into a throw, and then all of a sudden Johnson's not in the frame, and then he's gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Johnson one was an actual trap. So that was an actual trap. They call it a trap coverage, which is interesting that, Wink doesn't want to be Don Brown, but some of the things he's been doing have been right out of Don Brown's playbook, which is a good thing. Don Brown had some interesting ideas. It's not like, the going cover 1 all the time with players who couldn't do it was a problem, but it wasn't like Don Brown was a bad defensive coordinator. And he's actually brought some ideas back. So I don't hate Wink. And I still am not sure it's going to click for him because it's a hard transition, and he's an older guy. And as an older guy myself, it's hard to learn new things, and it's hard to stay open to new ideas. But he's certainly trying. He's absolutely dramatically shifted his blitz rates. He's really playing around with this 5-1 concept and starting to get an idea of how the game is played in college because the thinking is different. You don't have to if you use your strategy to beat like a world-class poker player against your 10-year-old, you're just going to lose to your 10-year-old, right? They're just going to bet at you or something, right? The ideas that he's used to don't make sense, but
yeah, I thought there was a positive that Seth that he said this week. If you can get home with 4, you're going to get home with 4, and that's not something I expected to come out of Wink Martindale's mouth because he's never wanted to just get home with 4. But if it's working and the D line is providing the pressure, or one of the linebackers is rushing and doing a good job, and we're dropping somebody in coverage, I mean, you do a better job of shutting down the passing game that way. So. How is that going to look versus Washington? What are they? They obviously lost an incredible quarterback in Michael Penix, lost some great wide receivers. So, what do you think going into the weekend?
They got a quarterback, and they've lost everybody, right? I think the only player from last year is Giles Jackson. They're starting to mesh. They're a better team in their record. They way outgained Rutgers. But they're just prone to mistakes right now, and I think that's because everyone's still wearing name tags, and they're kind of in the same boat we are, where they're not quite sure what they're good at because there's a lot of new players who are trying to gel. Now, in their case, a lot of them are transfers. They're not. They're all new to each other as well. I don't know, man. I'm going to Washington. I'm going to try to enjoy myself, but
nice.
It's we've been playing this game for years, but
Yeah, I was planning on going before the COVID one got shut. Are you going to do any sailgating?
That's the plan. We're trying to. I'm trying to rope my group back into this, but we're going to hopefully sailgate with Ritu, who's a friend of the blog.
Ritu, how you doing, bud?
Yeah, you know Ritu. So yeah, man. I mean, this thing, they planned the 2021 and 2012, and my cousin was living in Seattle at the time. And I called my cousin and told him about, hey, man, 2020, Michigan's coming out to Washington. He's like, okay, we're going to that. I'm like, the only way this works is if we remind our wives once a month that we're going to this thing. Otherwise, they're never going to approve this plan. And so he's like, okay, let's do it. And so we did from 2012 to 2020. Every month we were like texting each other, hey, did you remind your wife this week? No, but I'll do it right now. Right? And then 2020 happens and they cancel the game. My cousin, in the process, moved to Michigan, so he lives right near me now. But we're going.
That's awesome.
We're gonna try some teriyaki. We're gonna get some seafood with a reader. We're gonna try to hit up some tailgates. Try to sailgate, and then we're going to try to see the Seahawks because Jay Harbaugh and A.J. Barner are, they couldn't beat the Lions, but
I got some suggestions for you, man. I just went out there this summer, found a bar that was wrestling themed, like WWE wrestling themed. It was pretty awesome. I'm not a wrestling fan, but Colby is a huge wrestling fan, so I was taking pictures with, posters of Bobby the Brain Heenan and all sorts of stuff. It was hilarious, but that's a cool town. Definitely get some teriyaki, get some good seafood too, for sure.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right, well,
what's your score prediction for the weekend?
34-13. Let's just go with that.
34-13. I think I keep saying it's gonna be a close one. I think Michigan's gonna turn it on a little bit this week. I think I'm gonna go with 28-15. 28-15 for the good guys. I just feel like some of these growing pains we're going to grow through them. And on offense, I felt a little bit better. I know it doesn't necessarily chart better, doesn't necessarily look better on paper, but two starts is early in your career, and normally those come against cupcakes. Yeah. And I feel like Orgy's going to take a step in this game, so we'll see.
I hope so. I'd like to see that happen. I will point out, if Michigan's going to win, it's probably going to be close because Washington tends to lose close games.
Donovan Edwards, any chance of repeating the 240-plus touchdowns, the national championship game record?
Why not? Why not? He's due. Yeah.
Big game, Don. We need him. Well, awesome, man. Send me some pictures. Let me know how it goes, and we'll chat again soon.
Will do, Matt.
All right, go Blue.
Go Blue.
Thanks for tuning in to the Matt and Seth Show, hosted by Seth Fisher, editor of mgoldblog.com, and Matt Demorest, Realtor and Lender. Presented by Realtor and Lender.com. Buy, sell, mortgage. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and go Blue.